we never heard people say, man, The Wire is bad for black culture. But every time I'm watching Power, I'm reminded with rap music in the background, people in the car, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, God damn, man. To me, that's why people say it's disrespecting black culture. To me, Power is McDonald's. It tastes good at first, but you can't eat it every day. You're going to end up fat.
Welcome to Just the Guys Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Just the Guys Podcast, where our mission is to bring back shame. Shame is the feedback necessary to bring correction to what's destroying our communities, and what's destroying our communities is rooted, I believe, in communism. Culture has been one of the topics that have been on the forefront as of late, and I want to continue to talk about the culture. And it's not just about what we consume, but what slowly conditions us. One of the most effective tools of communist subversion isn't government policy or military force, it's culture. Communist goal number 25 says to lower moral standards through entertainment, and communist goal number 26 it says normalize crime, immorality, and social decay by presenting it as relatable, justified, and aspirational. And that's not an accident. It doesn't require censorship, it requires repetition. When crime becomes a storyline instead of a warning, when dysfunction is framed as our truth, when destruction is explained away as context or trauma or survival. And the defense is always the same. It's just entertainment, it's not real life, and we're just telling stories. But stories don't just reflect reality, they shape it. They train the imagination, they normalize behavior. They quietly define what's acceptable, admirable, and inevitable. When the same images repeat long enough, they stop feeling like fiction, they become familiar. And familiar things stop being questioned. So that's the question we're asking tonight. Do shows like Power actually condemn the behaviors that destroy communities, or do they quietly condone them by making them understandable, entertaining, and normal? But before we get into that, guys, make sure you hit that like button, share the broadcast, and subscribe to Just the Guys Podcast. Remember, you can also join the Shamers Club that really helps support the show. Of course, we got the fellas on the panel tonight. We got Gimpy as well as CT. Join us live here Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. And then our condensed podcast version drops on Wednesdays. So stay tuned and watch out for that. All right, guys, let's get into our main topic. Now, admittedly, guys, I like the show Power. You watch? Do you guys watch Power?
When I'm a black barber, I used to. So what?
No wonder why you look like a skinhead now.
Yeah, my barber is he's a melanated person, but he's not black. But I was forced to listen to watch Power every time I went in there, and I hated it. It's one of the reasons why I stopped going to him. I can't watch that shit, man.
Power, it's produced by 50 Cent. You know, it was a show that came out of, his creative mindset. It's been on for several years, and it's created this kind of power universe in which there are several other spinoffs. Power Book 4, Force, is, aka I call it Tommy. I think most people in the Power universe call it Tommy, which Tommy is the main character. Takes place in Chicago, and talk about street gangs. But they were recently on Breakfast Club, and they were talking about how are there any kind of like righteous aspects of the show? And I do want to question, do shows like Power like condemn or condone like behavior that is destroying our communities?
Do you think the world will ever look at the gang organization for anything righteous they've ever done? I know with BMF, 50 also tried to talk about the family unit and stuff like that, and it's very prevalent that you're that character in this show, but people don't see that. They only say, why would you guys be in a show that showcases all these things? I'm sure.
So first off, what do you guys think of this question? The question of, is there anything righteous, like talking about the family unit in a show that promotes like gang violence, drugs, promiscuity, all those things?
Yeah. Get that question all the time. Do you think the world will ever say, but wait, there was a righteous component to this, there was a family aspect?
Yes, and I think even outside the show, we make sure we do a lot of stuff in the community. I make sure we have speaking engagements and talking to make sure we know this is entertainment. It's telling a story, a story of some made up characters that, how they move in the streets and how their life and how their family dynamics happen. And I think that also by showing that in Chicago with all the things that's going on with the city of Chicago, we're able to show the entertainment part of it, but we're also able to touch on some of the things of the diversity of the city and how the city is made up and the history and the architecture and just kind of giving some more light on the city in that way as well too. But I think it's very important for people to know, even as we talk, is to make sure that we know that this is a story. It's a TV series.
It's
and
not
we're
real
playing
life.
characters. It's not real life. It's the Power universe.
only
We know
had to
that's
convince
not
himself,
real life. There's so many things that happen. That Mustang pulls up anywhere. No parking tickets.
We'll say though that these stories are might not be based on somebody's real life, but they are lives that's happening out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
There's a
Yes.
Tommy and somebody's
people
hood.
walk up to me
There's
every time like,
somebody's
bro,
all
hood.
the time.
I think it's ridiculous. The question is a justification question. It's not an authentic question. I mean, like, dude, it's just them trying to pity part, like, not even pity, carry water for each other. It's like, oh, there's this little bit of decency in this otherwise relatively degenerate thing, and you're going to justify it by saying, well, that's our culture, and we're showing a better way within that culture to live or whatever. But again, it's all cope. So, like, that's why I don't watch this TV like this anymore. It's just garbage for the brain.
No, like I said, this is so my wife and I do like date nights and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm at a point where like I can recognize it as entertainment, but but I also limit the amount of this stuff I consume. Cause one, I really don't like seeing, you know, black people being portrayed in a certain way. Now this, you know, just the way I view it, you know, it's just like, I don't like seeing this stuff. But from a story aspect, I do see that, man, this is an interesting story. And yeah, I started it. So now I'm like, man, I just want to finish it. So this is me. Maybe I'm being hypocritical at this point in time. And I can be self-aware of that. But it's just something I think. I was fooled by those words too. For years, without even realizing it, I was helping the bad guys. Yeah, the same global conglomerates that bankroll chaos, push woke nonsense, and fund movements that despise God, family, and freedom. 97% of what we buy, toothpaste, dish soap, vitamins, even snacks, is owned by the same handful of multinational corporations. They don't share our values, they exploit them. Most of their stuff is made overseas, laced with toxins, and sold back to us under the label of progress. That's not capitalism, that's communist goal number 32. Centralized control over culture, welfare, and daily life. They already control education. They control the media. And now they want your shopping cart. If we keep buying their products, we're handing them the keys. Shame isn't the problem. Apathy is. Shame is what snaps you out of it. It's what makes a man take responsibility again. That's why I stopped feeding the machine. I switched my home to family-owned, American-made, non-toxic products that actually care about the people they serve. And now you can too. Go to switchwithlogic.com and take your dollars back from the system that's poisoning our homes and our freedom. Because shame should lead the change. And this one feels good.
Do you remember the dinner scene in, not the dinner scene, but the coffee scene in the movie Heat? There are gangster flicks and mafioso flicks that, in my opinion, they go outside the bounds of being a contemporary on common culture, right? Some of these, like The Wire, right? The Wire isn't a contemporary piece for me. The Wire isn't saying, oh, The Wire is a representation of what's going on in Baltimore now. If you watch The Wire, Logic, which I'm assuming you did, The Wire had so much depth. It had so much character development. It had so many different like the symbols, right? Like, for example, a lot of people never caught this scene, man, but the scene when Stringer Bell was running through the factory before Omar killed him, he was running like a chess piece. If you really picked up on it,
Really?
if you really pick up on how deep like The Wire is, right, you can see the absolute generational art within it, right? It was more than just the Greeks. It was more than just shipping drugs over. It showed you the complexity of institutions and how systems run and operate, like the newspaper in The Wire, right? You remember the newspaper, right? When they introduced that, which wasn't the biggest, which wasn't really the strongest story arc, but it did work in the favor when they were trying to create the serial killer. But you have like Heat, right? Heat infused film noir, right? Noir and the score. It wasn't just a contemporary on the 90s, right? It was something that people can say you can watch Heat 500 years from now into the future, because you're going to appreciate the angles and how scenes are shot. You're going to appreciate just the symbol of good and evil, or who was really good or evil, right? Between Pacino and Bobby D. Or you could look at it like the story with the guy chasing the whale, right? Moby Dick. You could also look at it like, was Pacino's character, like, was he a never-ending Moby Dick? Like, if you really listen to what he's saying in the movie, like, I got to get up and do this every day. It's almost like he's never gonna catch this whale. He's just always out. He's always out there. Crime is always gonna happen. A lot of these gangster movies are really, really deep. The problem I had with Power, it's every episode seems the same. Somebody tearing some pussy up, drug dealing and killing. It didn't feed me anything. The culture's already bad, Logic. Let's be honest. The culture's already bad. But the problem with Heat is, to me, I think of myself as an intellect. I didn't get anything from the movie Heat. I couldn't learn it. I can't learn it. I mean, I didn't get anything from Power. But when I'm watching Heat, man, I could get something from almost every character except for that piece of shit Wayne Grow. He was just utter piece of shit. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when he got killed, Gimpy, that was kind of like almost orgasmic, man.
You learn how not to be. He
was such a piece of shit, man. He had no redeeming qualities, Wayne Grow. Yeah. Man, but you could learn so much from that movie, man. Like even things like what's that saying he had, Gimpy? Don't feel too attached to something that you can't leave in 15 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, don't get attached to anything that you can't walk away from in 15 minutes.
Right. And then at the end of the movie, when he left Bobby D, it was like, wow, he never would have imagined his own partner would leave him off the same advice he would. So you get things like this, right, Logic? Val Kilmer, right? Then you get Homeboys in Outer Space, right? Logic, you ever heard of Homeboys in Outer Space?
Yeah. Yes.
So imagine you watching Star Trek or you watching Star Wars. You get the entire package. You get the music, which is absolutely beautiful. You get music infused in scenes that goes back 1,000 years. You get camera angles, and each scene is almost like when you go into this. I've never been to the Sistine Chapel, right? But it's almost like every scene is like a painting almost.
Yep.
Man, I when I watched Power, I was trying to see that. I couldn't get it. It just seemed like it was a high level Tubi movie. Every episode is like a high level Tubi movie. It's just people who aren't really good writers, people who aren't really good at directing, people who aren't really good at. Mind you, I was in a movie as an extra, man. So I look at movies and TV a little bit different from the common person, bro. Like honestly, bro, I don't really believe people do things because of entertainment, right? I just think if you're just a ghetto culture, if you're just ghetto, you're always going to be ghetto any damn way. I mean, I've watched all types of things, and these things don't influence me, right, to do negative stuff. But what I didn't like about Power is it's a simple little formula. It's like a Sesame Street. It's a simple little formula. A plus B equals C. So sex plus a drug scene plus a killing scene, and that's the episode. Whereas you don't get that in like think about a movie, Gippy, like think about an eating scene, right, in a movie. Like what's a good eating scene in a gangster flick?
When they all are imagining the food.
Oh, like in Hook. Oh, I damn near cry. Every time I see that scene, I watch it once a year. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. It's even like eating scenes, right, should be made to be artwork. I didn't get that in Power, man. I didn't get anything artistic in Power, man. Does Goodfellas set a bad example? Sure.
No.
But Goodfellas, but Goodfellas, you could argue, is the equivalent of a Heat. It's the same package of just
because at the end, Hank Hill is standing in his front yard screaming at the sky that his life is miserable, man. So no, Goodfellas, the lesson of the story is that if you pick a life of crime and whatever, you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be.
But when you watch, but Goodfellas is timeless.
Yeah,
Power is not timeless, in my opinion.
Can I just say, you keep saying something. Doesn't that say more about the consumption than the creation? The creators are only giving what sells. If you could sell Heat today, they'd make Heat. But you can't sell Heat today. You got to sell a superhero movie or a movie with a plot that revolves around cheesy horror, or you got to remake something. They don't do that anymore. They don't.
I think it goes back to what you're saying. People that's too jacked up.
Yeah.
It's people don't want Heat anymore. I mean, I bet you the guys in the back.
Yo, what's good, y'all, man? Yo, CT, man, I'm gonna give you some pushback on the Power joint, man. You gotta watch the Power Book 2 with old boy with the son, Tariq. You can learn a lot of stuff on there on how to deal with different companies and earn different stakes within companies, and yo, it was dope, man. Like I think you kind of downgrading the whole Power joint. I remember that TV show Heat too, man. It was alright.
The
It's nothing like Power, though.
movie Heat.
I mean, I think there is a lot to be learned in Power, but it's showing the worst of Black culture. I mean, they're true to Black culture. What's defined as Black culture? I mean, it's corrupt.
But didn't The Wire show the worst of Black culture?
I mean, it did too.
Didn't The Sopranos show the worst of
Italian culture?
I mean, but I'm just, I don't know. But the other element of it too is like, where it's often stated that, you know, the Jews are pushing forth degenerate content for Blacks to consume, and the Blacks consume it up. But this is 50 Cent pushing this, right? I mean, is there? I mean, what's the Jewish leadership?
Roll the credits, and I'll tell you in the credits where that pops up. It'll be an EP. He doesn't fund them out of his pocket. Someone funds all this. It might be a studio or whatever, but the way everybody knows how this stuff is made. You outsource the funding. That's what a producer, like the executive producers are. They're the money guys. They're the guys who bring the money in for the production and line up all the work under it. So I'll arguably say that you can't get away. It's entertainment. You would have to roll the credits. And if in that credits you don't see anything, then you could say that comfortably. But I'm sure somewhere in the credits, there's Jew money.
So it says Stars is pushing Power over Curtis. Curtis is the face, but not the bankroll.
Yeah, dude. And Stars is a cable network. And I promise you, all over with because again, my people are on both sides of every conversation, regardless, whether it's controversial or not.
In my opinion, logic is this, right? To me, Power is McDonald's. It tastes good at first, but you can't eat the shit every day. You end up fat. You could argue that all these things we just named is bad for different cultures, but The Wire, nobody ever said, oh, I did, The Wire is really bad on Black culture. I think it's because it forced even the common viewer to see the beauty in the artistic expression in this in the show, right? It forced you to see it forced you to see different types of psychologies of a human being. Like Marlo is drastically different from Avon. Mm-hmm. And different scenes let you know, like the security guard scene. Then you ask, I wonder how Avon would have handled that security guard. And why did Marlo kill him? Why did Marlo kill this this security, this random guy that's not even in the game? I think The Wire, to me, I never heard anybody say, man, The Wire bad for Black people. I think
they said it was bad for Baltimore.
Yeah, they said it was too.
I don't live in Baltimore.
No. The biggest, I just looked, right? I did a search for us. So the biggest complaints on The Wire, right, is nothing about the Black community. It's either that it took too long, like slow burn and too complex up front, low ratings, bad marketing the first season. Bleakness and realism is what Logic is talking about. They said that it portrays the things that went around in Baltimore. It's too bleak and dark, and it wasn't as awful, right? Like it created this very awful image for Baltimore that it wasn't accurate. Like even when it was happening, it wasn't as bad as they portrayed. That's the criticism.
With The Wire, so for non-Baltimoreans, what The Wire did to me was this, right? You could use this in the classroom if you want to teach irony. And the idea that Omar lived by a code of he doesn't bother civilians, he doesn't for damn sure touch kids, and the irony that he gets killed by an 8-year-old. Man, I'm telling you, like shit like that really it's outside the scope of race. It's just wow, this type of stuff actually happens in the real world. Yeah. Like these situations, thousands of years of mankind, like these situations, man.
Yes.
Power to me is just like I said before, a scene of some pretty chick getting her pussy toe up, some drug dealing and killing. It's like, goddamn, it's too lowbrow for me. And I think what lowbrow does is when it's something that's lowbrow, it's too easy to say, okay, this is just bad for Blacks. Because if it was really, really, really good, nobody would say that. Not to say that it's not good. It's just to me McDonald's. It's always going to sell, but it's just not really good food.
Yeah. Hey, Kung Fu CJ, welcome to the stream, man. Do shows like Power condemn or condone destroying communities? And what's your thoughts on that, man?
I believe it's kind of both. I don't know if you guys are old enough. There's another gangster movie made. It's called Once Upon a Time in America.
Good one. That's a really
good one. That's a great one. That's my people's gangster movie.
As you can see by me bringing up that movie, it talks about the Hebrews being gangsters in New York.
The Lower East Side of Manhattan.
Yes.
Where my dad grew up.
It's not a lot of these movies portray every pretty much ethnic group in a bad light, when it comes down to the community. American Gangster, what they're trying to do is educate but then they have to have the entertainment part with it. So yes, you're gonna have some drug dealing and killing and sex scenes, police scenes. You're gonna, because they need the entertainment. I'm a Dirty Harry guy. I watch a lot of the Dirty Harry movie, and it's not each one is not the same. When they go to part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they're not the same. However, Dirty Harry is the same. He's the same enforcer cop who will not bow down to like your Brandon Johnsons, your Brandon Scotts.
Yeah.
In the city. I'm here to enforce crime. I'm not here to pussyfoot with the hoods. Like I said, you got to have entertainment. Him walking around the streets with this big old hand cannon, and he's stopping robberies and all kinds of stuff. You got to think about this. Your cowboy movies, kind of like, does it put them in, the Caucasians in?
Yeah, but the cowboy movies are not inaccurate at all. Overall, Hollywood, the saying goes, even the Wild West wasn't the Wild West, man, right? Like, we talk about things as if it was like this ongoing. There were periods of craziness, especially when they were territories, whatever. But like, for example, when you look at a guy like Wild Bill Hickok, who is aggrandized in American history, right? Anybody who plays poker knows what a dead man's hand is, and that's because of this guy. He was not the killer that history makes him out to be. It's 3 or 4 times in the course of his whole life he has showdowns that map the rest of his life. He was basically a drunk and a gambler who abandoned his family to go to the North Dakota mining territories to make a living when he could no longer make a living because he shot a dude. I'm just saying the Wild West wasn't the Wild West. So when we look at Wild West movies, we have to remember they took the massive liberty to create this environment where we think that the Wild West was just gunfights endlessly. In fact, Wild West is the first implementation of gun control in America. It's the first time they start banning weapons in cities. There's no open carry. It all comes from the fact that when they let that happen, people would randomly walk up to each other and shoot each other. I mean, it became that. So
how do these series conclude, though? Because I think, it's one thing to tell a story, but then like what is the resolution of these stories?
Like the ones that end where the main character pays the price, even though Sopranos ending sucked, was to make you think that he got whacked, Tony Soprano, or in Goodfellas, he's standing in witness protection and basically he's telling everybody that he loved the life he had and now he's miserable that he had to leave it. I mean, as long as it ends with the crime doesn't pay punchline, then the story is salvaged regardless of what it showed up until that point.
Gibby, you guys seen Paid in Full, right? To me, Paid in Full, is a great movie, high level Tubi. To me, it's like a McDonald's film. Now, that's a movie, and Godfather is a movie. Logic, do you remember the scene when Cameron is playing Alpo? Remember the scene when they showed a video of him? He tears the pussy up in the club of a video. How many sex scenes were in The Godfather, or how many sex scenes were vulgar on that level?
None.
Now, Sonny was banging the one woman who ended up giving birth to his illegitimate son, but there's a level of vulgarity that there's a level of sex. Like, let's use sex, right? In a movie, if you just ask me, sex is supposed to be like a background thing to it, right? In my opinion, unless it's this movie based on romance, it's supposed to be like a background thing, like a tree or a car. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to be something that's just etched in your brain, because that's not really what it's supposed to be. The way I look at it. Now, if somebody were to ask me, "Hey, do you remember the scene when Sonny was banging the one girl in the bedroom at Michael's wedding?" Or no, it wasn't Michael's wedding. It was
the other
wedding. Yeah, I do remember that. But everything in that scene, like Luca Brasi, Mike bringing Kay to the wedding and telling Kay about the family business, that supersedes everything Sonny was doing, which was cheating on his wife, right? Because he was cheating on his wife at the wedding. What I saw in Paid in Full was, why did they show this stupid ass scene that makes no goddamn sense? Yeah. Maybe it's to show you I get why they would show it. It shows you the carelessness and recklessness of Alpo, but it just didn't flow, in my opinion. It was no depth in. No, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of good scenes in Paid in Full, but it's a way you make a movie, and I really feel like you said, where I grew up at, we never heard people say, "Man, The Wire is bad for Black culture," because The Wire was so goddamn good, and it was mostly blacks.
Yep.
The depthness and the storytelling was so good, you forgot that you were even watching black people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But every time I'm watching Power, I'm reminded with rap music in the background, people in the car, boom, boom, boom. My God damn, man. So to me, that's why people say it's disrespecting black culture. But then you have black gangster films that really, even though it's gangster, really like you have Harlem Nights. Belly was really good. Belly had a lot of Belly's art. Paid it full. What's another one? The one with Lawrence Fishburne. The one he plays Bumpy Johnson. What I'm saying is that black people have made these films, these gangster films, these films of crime and drugs. But there's a way you do it. There's a way you present it to a population of people. And Power to me doesn't execute that well. It just Hoodlum. That's the name of the movie. Hoodlum. It just doesn't execute it well, and that's what makes it bad for the black community. You can make these movies. Logic, I know you don't watch porn, bro.
No.
Back in the 80s and the 90s, now it's porn. It's still porn. It was set. It was scenery. It was angles. It was cameras. It was storytelling, Oh, did you order a pizza? But now it's just straight, just fucking. To me, even when something is bad, you still have to serve it right to people.
Yeah, the reason why they showed that scene of Al Poe is because it's based on a true story, and Al Poe was known doing vulgar things like that in the public. So that's why they made the clip like that within the film. But I understand why you're saying the why is more of a classic is because it showed different varieties of people's lifestyle, such as you get the version of the police officer, the judges, even the kids that's working the corner, even the kingpins. Like you get everybody's version of the story within that show. That's why the show is such a classic. You know what I mean?
So let me ask Rush, do you think shows like Power are condemning or condoning like things that are destroying communities? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's the parents' responsibility in order to guide your child in the right direction. But I would say, yes, there is a level of negative influence from TV shows like The Power because it's such, a negative. The premise of the show is negative in general. You know what I mean? So, it would be it'll cause a negative ripple effect within our demographic, yeah.
I think there's another element that's maybe it's like the amount of content that's out there too, right? When you think about the library of content that you have available, we don't have the library of content that's wholesome anymore, right? The movies you guys are talking about was or during an era when you also had things like the Cosby Show or even like the Bernie Mac show, Good Times, when there was a primary family element that was also being promoted at the same time. And it seems like now, from what I see, the negative culture is what is consumed the most, right? There used to be more of a balanced dare I say balanced consumption, but now it seems like it's more or less, this is all we see.
I totally disagree with that because right on TikTok, you have little babies that get millions of views. Think about this. You have videos of cats. Oh, here goes my cat. Come here, Fluffy. Little cats. You have right on TikTok. You scroll through people singing and dancing in their home, man, singing nice songs. So you could argue that you have more positive imagery and you have more positive entertainment more than ever now. It's just, are you just choosing to? I mean,
is that positive or is this candy? Like, because like the shows like Cosby Show had depth, right? I'm just asking.
There's this white woman on YouTube. She gets like 1 million views a damn upload. I went to my friend's kid's birthday party.
Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel. All the kids went crazy when Miss Rachel came on the screen and stuff. I'm like, who the hell is this white chick? Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it might be more positivity now. It's just what your frequency is. I think society is giving you your own burden of frequency. Which frequency do you want to give your input? Think about the 80s, right? Now, you did say the Good Times, right?
Yeah, Good Times.
Yeah, Good Times. But you also had, hear me out, but you also had, what's that show, that little black boy, and they were getting molested in the bike shop? And it was also showing you wild stuff that was big on a national scale back then, like all those kidnappings with them kids. You had a lot of shows that had a lot of like the more you know lessons, bro. So you could argue differently. I mean, I don't know.
So I guess what
Highway to Heaven. with my
Highway to Heaven. I remember that show too.
Dude,
Yeah.
every week it was another horrific thing that was going on that they were bringing light to through some fictional representation of it on that. Whether it was how like disabled people were abused by their families. There were a whole bunch of episodes about that. Like, dude, a lot of
Good Times. And don't forget Good Times. Give me Good Times. It was a black poor ass family in the ghetto in the poverty in the projects.
Yes.
But isn't there something to say like to how these shows conclude though, or like the conclusion, the resolution of the story, right? Because again, like nowadays, like the resolution is just like we're just gonna go out and kill somebody else. Back
But
then,
like, you could also argue that in Good Times, the father was killed. JJ was beat up by multiple gangs. The little brother was almost forced to be in the gang. He had to fight. His mother had to come and fight these gang members off. JJ ruined. I think the Thelma's husband or somebody tripped and fell and busted his ankle. They ended up going to the NFL. It was a lot of negativity in these movies, in these TV shows back in the day too, man. Yeah, the Cosby Show was very positive, man, but were a lot of other entertainment positive? I don't know.
They reinvented positive presentation over the 80s and 90s. I mean, it got totally foobarred because of this, because it was a slippery slope. But things like Married with Children, right? Like my parents hated that show. But if you really watched that show and paid attention, it actually was a very wholesome show.
Yeah.
He always wanted to cheat on his wife. He never could.
He never did.
He never could. He always talked about being like the failings of society, right? Like he always presented all the things that we took for granted as these things. And then at the same token, he was all about masculinity of the man being the king of his castle. But in a way that if you pay attention to it, it's actually, we all agree with that stuff.
And believe it or not, he was a great leader. He founded No Ma'am.
No Ma'am.
No,
I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this TV show called Dallas, but if you were to make a version of that in Black Wall Street, I think it would be pretty good, man.
Oh, that actually might be really good, Rush. I didn't think about it like that. Like you do it a Dallas style soap opera. That would actually get views. But I'm saying in the scope of no one wants something deep. We want to turn on whatever screen we're turning on and let our brains melt into whatever you're feeding at 1080 or 8K resolution.
Man, I don't know, man. I do think there's a craving for deep content. I mean, if you go on YouTube Universe, but when you go on and look at stuff like Stoicism or philosophy or kind of some of the deep thought topics, like these things have millions and millions of views. You follow Ryan Holiday or someone like that. Dude has millions of followers, and this is all about Stoicism. How should I be? Things like that. So I think there is an element of society that is craving deeper content.
Now, I'm a child of the 90s, man. I grew up in the 90s, man. And I used to watch a lot of movies from the 80s. We romanticize the past, bro, because let's use science fiction, right? Villanueva's Dune now, man, ain't no goddamn science fiction ever touching that, man, from the past, bro. And I know there's a romantic thing with 2000, I forgot the name of that movie, Space Odyssey, 1990. Bro, Dune is so deep now.
See 2010.
Yeah, bro. Like in my opinion, man, I think we're probably deeper now.
You think so?
And I'm just gonna use science on it, right? Science fiction, bro. Bro, some of this Star Wars stuff that's coming out now. I mean, like not Rogue One, but Andor. Man, it makes a lot of that shit in the 80s and in the 70s and 80s look like a cartoon, man.
Yeah,
but how much of that stuff gets consumed?
It's the least fan favorite of all.
Andor. But what about Dune?
But again, Dune
had $1 billion, bro.
Yeah, but Dune is a remake of something that was already a mega hit movie, and on top of it, it's a classic science fiction novel. That goes to that they just remake things. Dude, I'm not saying they didn't do an amazing job. I'm just saying we do not want new, in-depth. You would see it. They would create it because it would sell, right? Entertainment is one of the fewest things that still taps into pure capitalism. Because if people aren't entertained by it, they're going to turn it off. They have 10 million options thanks to the internet. Literally, you can go on YouTube and type in anything you want to see, and a channel will pop up with it. People are just giving things that lock people's brains to the screen and melts their consciousness into the visuals that they're being fed. It's purely that's how they make entertainment now. It's clear. It's not about, because the things that are supposed to be these deep, meaningful, they're all drivel. Everything that's promoted as like this depth story, it's garbage. And they have to recreate things they already know work, and it's a hit or miss even then for them. I'm sorry, like the state of how we entertain ourselves is a mess. The only redeeming quality is that we get straight to market products through platforms like YouTube. So you can go and find something else. If you were just stuck to cable TV now, everyone would be outdoors. No one would be watching. It's that they melt their brains anywhere they flip. So they feed them drivel so that they stay locked in. Dude, you know, you're a creator. You know the most important things are click-through rate and time on screen.
I did a story on it. Roger, did you know it was like 1910? Negroes shooting dice, shooting and killing each other. There ain't no movies to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean,
no movies influenced that. They were gangsters back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, come on, man.
Man, Frank Zanu says that was the culture of Africa. Like, you know, tribes killing one another, talking bad about one another.
I hear people tell me every day on CT show that Africa is the most peaceful continent in the history of known civilization. I'm sorry, again, you're just a bigot, sir.
And it was I was watching something by Frank Zanu today, and he was talking about, you know, the concept of maintenance. I'm pretty sure, you know, that one's been floating around in your YouTube universe, but there is no African word or there's no word that translates to many of the languages in Africa to maintenance. And he was saying there was no need to maintain much of the structures that were built is because they were so I'm gonna call it nomadic. Is because, you know, you build something that's temporary and you have to move because there's another gang or not a gang, but another tribe that might come attack you. So the structures that were built were very temporary, so they didn't need to be maintained, right? And you know, it's just kind of this, you know, just something to think about, especially when you think about the context of violent culture and things like that. It's like, you know, maybe that's how the culture is wired. I don't know.
Humans were wired, dude. That's not unique to Africa. The only reason why Europe had to build permanent structures because of the weather. They had to withstand winters, so they had to figure out how to, and so they stood still and killed each other. Again, that's what I'm saying is like people try and assign the human condition to one group of humans, but the humans are all the same across the board, man. I'm just pointing out like that. This is the biggest fallacy of the modern day is that these in-groups are uniquely different from each other at a base level. We're not. We're all people and we all want the same thing: to screw, drink, you know, to fill our bellies, to have sex, and to feel powerful. That's all that people want, man. That's the general baseline for all humans.
But so even at a basic level, right? Doesn't what you consume contribute to what you output, though, right? So I mean, but if we're looking at power, you know, you have to be very cognizant of what we're consuming. You know, do you guys subscribe to that idea as well? Like,
yeah, it's just bad entertainment food. And if you're if you are a person that's easily susceptible and low vibrational, you are going to be influenced by that. But when you have depth in a movie, I think even somebody even low vibrational can appreciate it. You know, it's almost like, you know, going to a steakhouse versus McDonald's.
Kung Fu, do you watch Power?
No, I seen a couple of shows, but I couldn't get into it like my wife was into it. You know, but I just couldn't get into it. I stopped watching regular TV shows when the Cosby Show went off. I mean, I watched Law and Order. If Law and Order was on the television set, I'll sit down and watch it. Now I just go to people's podcasts and I try to create my own stuff for my podcast, and I stay in my word. That's it. You know, and then I do a lot of community work. So we gave gifts to an orphanage yesterday.
I don't think Power helps. You know, me and my wife watch it on date night. Again, I do like. I think Power Book Force does have a bit more of a story arc than maybe some of the other. To be fair, I don't watch any other Power series other than Power Book 4 Force. I don't even know the name. I just call it Tommy. But I just don't think. I don't know. It's just.
I was going to ask you, Logic, does Power infuse religion into it?
So religion, not as much. I mean, they do have a couple of church scenes.
How are the church scenes used in the show?
It's almost like a justification for the criminal element.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually did. It actually did.
So blasphemy.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you pay off the pastor. The pastor prays for you and prays for your safety. It's not necessarily the element of pastoral correction, right? Or, you know, providing guidance that a pastor should. It's more or less well, God loves you anyway, despite what you're doing, and just send me an offering. It's more of that than and what
I like the corruption of the church, man.
yeah, but so that's the problem I think that I have that's the biggest problem I have, I think, with it is that a lot of black people will look at it and identify with it, but not then say, is that how we really are? Is that how we really come across? But instead it's like, yeah, that's us, I see us in that, like the whole like literally use the Democrat Party for the corruption, right? There's no Republicans in the show, and granted, black people, I guess 95%, yeah, you're Democrat, I guess that's what you're going to do. And even on this series on Power Book 4 Forest, there's a black woman that's trying to be mayor, and she I don't know if people haven't seen it, she's taking money from a drug dealer, and it's like,
I'm not comparing you, but The Godfather 3 sucked, right? But there were some redeeming qualities about The Godfather 3. For example, right? Michael Corleone is an older man in the movie. He's the Godfather. He's older now, and he's pretty much trying to legitimize the family. And he's at an age now where he's looking back, and he really wants redemption for all the murders and this, that, and the other, right? So he goes to, in a long story short, he goes to Italy, to Rome, and there's a scene where he does what do they call it? Confession, right? In a Catholic church. So he confesses his sins to a bishop, right? But in the meantime, there's a bad business deal that goes awry, land deal that goes awry. The money is mismanaged by another bishop within the church, and that bishop is killed. So it's like to me, it went full circle. Now, had the bishop not been killed, I would have felt like, God damn, man, he got away like the priest that have done things in real life gotten away. Mm-hmm. But see, killing that priest, in my opinion, it's like closure. That's the way I looked at it, right? But you said
because it's good storytelling.
It's good storytelling, right? But you said in Power, the pastor's allowed to be corrupt and nothing ever happens to the pastor.
Yeah.
Well, because,
and I'm not comparing. I'm just go ahead.
I just want to say to that end, it's because why should the church be free of what the show is doing? Like a baseline thematic thing of the show is to show the gritty underbelly of these different institutions, whether it's drug dealing, the church. No, they're not sparing anyone. Part of their theme to present their product is that we're gonna show the darkness of right. Like there is no light in this show, basically. But that's by design. It's like if you're not trying to judge it as if it's good or bad, and you're just trying to look at it artistically, right? Like it's trying to, from my perspective, I've only seen a handful of episodes of the original series. From my perspective, it's that, we're going to tell it like it is. It's the thematic of when we write scenes. And, when the writers are sitting around is then they're snowballing ideas. It's always in that dark corner. The whole thing is that they like the family values, that stuff that they put in there is to be the backbone to how you keep the chaos in check. Never about stopping the chaos.
Some of the passages I question sometimes, especially when you're presenting your culture to the world. And maybe this is me. I admit, man, I'm probably naive. I admit it. I'm idealist or whatever you call me. Oftentimes, Gippy, purist. But I do question why, particularly real pastors, would open up their real churches, cameo on these type of shows, knowing what they represent. And knowing like content like these shows go out to the masses, they're a global audience.
Do you not know the word cognitive dissonance, sir? Like, dude, these guys don't think that at all. They do not align. The person you're describing, this pastor who opens their church, that's not what they see. They see they're being a committed member of their community. They're partaking in Black-run businesses by Black actors. They're supporting Black industry. They're showing that there's a home for all Black culture within the church. From their mind, they're creating a welcoming environment that allows them to balance their very tedious task of being pastors. Even the good, I'm talking for a guy who has good intention. I'm not even talking about a guy who's a scumbag. They're going to do this because it's an opportunity for outreach and to be impactful at a massive national scale, let alone international scale. You're asking these guys who spend all time looking for airtime to turn this away. That's insane.
So I don't know what pastors have been on the show, but you saying real pastors have been on the show, Logic?
Yeah, there have been.
So in my opinion, right, I'm not a pastor, but if I were a pastor, I would have said only if you write my character and kill my character off. That's the only way I can do it. Like, yeah, because here goes the yeah, and I get what Gimpy's saying, right? Why would a pastor do this? But only if you kill my pastor, only if you kill this character off. That's the only way I'll do it. Or he goes to jail.
Be the pastor feeding the homeless who got gunned down in the drive-by.
I'm talking about if I'm a corrupt guy.
Right, but don't you understand? They would take whatever your intent was and twist it to the plot of whatever you told them your guidelines were. The writers would be smarter than you. You're playing like, I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm telling you it's a good call. But this is what they do. They sit in a room. They're given what they can and can't say. They write stuff. They get edited.
The writers are
They'll twist whatever your restrictions are into creating whatever they want, regardless.
So the writers are the problem then, because they're creating these narratives that make the show seem as though it's an attack on black people. Then
that's who does it.
Because have you killed a black pastor who's doing something corrupt? Hey man, I think the black community say, yeah, I'm going to applaud that one.
Again, I say everything's rooted in communism. Again, one of the communist goals is to destroy culture, create this negative image of, all cultures. To me, I think black people are being used to, kind of push a negative view of promiscuity. They're being used to push promiscuity, violence, this gang culture, right? I mean, I understand these things exist in society, but what are we promoting as normal? And I think the entertainment industry is being using black people constantly to promote this, and to me, it's been working on black people. It's working on culture in America, and I think we really need to be cognizant of the content that we're consuming, because I mean, like CT said, there can be an artistic element. I think there are a lot of artistic element. There are a lot of lessons to learn from the content. However, when it's just candy, when it's just there's no resolution, when there's no, the bad guys there should be some consequence instead of promoting the bad behavior, which I think we constantly see in shows like Power. The reason why Power has continued is because the bad guys constantly win and you're on their side, and it's just this element of cheering on the degeneracy. So I think all that is destructive to culture.
What does Marxism have to do? One of the key things they do is promote sexual promiscuity. The abortion rate was massive. The intermingling of couples in the USSR was massive. One of the biggest things they push is sexual degeneracy on the public, so that you're going around screwing all the time and not thinking about oppression. Dude, please, man. My wife has horror stories of what it was like.
So one of the 45 communist goals that was also written into the congressional record, communist goal number 25, which I alluded to earlier, says break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion picture, radio, and TV. And if you go on to number 26, present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Now, these were, again, written into the congressional record back in 1963 and part of the 45 communist goals written to destroy America. I'm a big fan of Mr. Manning Johnson, who is a communist defector, and he wrote the book Color, Communism, and Common Sense. And he talks about these things, and particularly how the Negro was used, or black man was used and the black church was infiltrated to then create a safe haven for the Communist Party to then disseminate, the belief system, the process amongst blacks in America. So this is one of those things that, I'm really, just keen on. What's that, CT?
Isn't North Korea communist?
Northern Korea.
North Korea,
yeah.
That's a communist state, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't Cuba communist?
Yes.
Or at least it was.
It still is.
Well, porn is illegal in those countries. Like, I've never jerked to North Korea. I mean, I thought about it, but I've never jerked to North Korean porn before.
Yeah, they're dabbling with porn.
Well, okay, I'm just being honest. I've always jerked to porn made in Christian nations.
It's how they destroy this. It's how they infiltrate the societies they're trying to disassemble.
Right.
Oh,
you're taking two different things. It's not how they govern. It's how they lead you.
But they don't. Did the Soviet Union have porn?
No, but they had massive amounts of sexual degeneracy that they allowed for. And porn was illegal, 100%. But there were abortion.
They just implement these things, or
no, they do it to infiltrate society. It's to
other society. Okay.
It's a subversion tactic to then
two blueprints. with communism. There's the blueprint that gets it spun up, and then the minute it gets spun up, they kill all the white hats, right? All the Bolsheviks got off, all the Pol Pot's people get off, all Mao Zedong, they kill all the inner circle, and they replace it with autocracy.
Wow.
That's two playbooks for communism. One, how to get there, and then once you have it, how to keep it.
So when I used to jerk it to Pinky and Cherokee Diaz,
Yeah.
I was infiltrated by the commies.
I mean, that's what they say.
No.
Promotion
That's
of
American porn. That's a $1 billion business.
All right.
Do you know Pinky, by the way? Do you know Pinky?
No.
That's
Wow, you're a good dude. You're a good. God damn, he's a good guy. Jesus Christ. Wow,
you're talking to a legitimate altar who survived.
I don't know
and you don't
about
know Cherokee
Altar Boy.
Diaz.
Wow.
There's two Cherokees.
You're a hell of a guy, man. You're a hell of a guy.
Man, I mean,
What if you know Cherokee Diaz?
There's two Cherokees.
I'm only talking about the Cherokee Diaz. That's what I'm talking about.